My name is Rachel Rofe. I created the show because I wanted to help you see that if you have a choice, you can choose a better life. If you're listening to this podcast, you're in a pretty fortunate position. You have free will, ability to connect to the internet, and access to all kinds of new education. This podcast is meant to help you make the most of your good fortune. We talk with all kinds of people here from all walks of life because I want you to see that no matter what your situation, there's always a way to create a life that you're proud of. Welcome to part 2 of our conversation with Paul Sanders. And in this episode, we're going to talk about how to create friendships, and not just any friendships, but intentional friendships. I mean, everyone says, as I said in the last episode, that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And so it's important that you surround yourself with people who elevate you. And so Paul and I are going to talk about different things you can do to make sure that you are surrounding yourself with people that you want to surround yourself with, different ways to find potential friends, things that you can talk about. We talk a little bit more about finding common ground, how to follow up with people, the types of things to say. Paul shares his weekly ritual for following up with people, which is a very tangible action step you can do to make sure that you're actively working on your social life. How to exchange information with people, so what you can say to make it feel really natural for people to give you their contact information so you can follow up, and then how you can make plans with them down the line that they're going to actually want to join, and then ways to strengthen that relationship and really have long-term friendships. So we covered so much here too, and I think this is really valuable if you are trying to meet new friends. Maybe you've just moved to a new area, so this is new for you, or you're just now kind of learning about this world of personal development. You want to be around more like-minded people, or whatever it is. Hopefully you get a lot from this show, and let's get into it. I was reading one of your reports, and you made such a good point about why friendships are so powerful. And one of the things that you said that really just spoke to me was how, on average, there's the lonely people and non-lonely people, and they both have the same amount of problems. But when you're lonely, the problems stress you more because you can't really flesh them out and share them with people. And then I was also, you were sharing about with people who are lonely, that it's actually more dangerous, scientists have found, than air pollution, obesity, or excessive drinking. So like, wow, this is really crazy. I mean, I understood that connection was important, but I didn't understand that it was that much. I mean, bigger than like obesity and excessive drinking. So Let's dig in. We've touched a little bit on some places you can find potential friends. Do you have like other kind of like, what are some good ideas and not good ideas when it comes to finding people to get together with?
Actually, what I teach people is I really try to give things that anyone can do, even if they are super busy. I don't like to share things that take too much time or too much motivation or too much proactivity. So what I would do is, as I said before, focus on places where you're going to go and others are also there to make friends. What happens often is people give you the advice that you can make friends anywhere, on the street, on a bar, etc. And that's true. It's possible, but it's very hard. It's very hard. It's relatively very hard. If you compare it with going to places where others are there to make friends, that's really the hard way to make friends. And I would recommend that you just give up on that idea that you can make friends anywhere you go. Unless it's important for you and you want to do a social experiment, then go ahead, I recommend it. But if you don't have a lot of time, I would recommend that you go to places where others are also want to make friends. Even if it's professional networking events, you can meet people and you can make friends. So that's the first lesson. Go where others are also there to make friends. And I know people have heard it, but it can't be stressed enough.
Yeah, and so everyone says it's important to make sure that you have the 5 closest people around you be people who are elevating you. How do you consciously make friends with people who are elevating you? Because I feel like, meetup groups are pretty random, right?
Yeah, of course. Okay, so this is about updating your social life and your social circle, and always going up and up and up of more interesting people or different kinds of people. And what you do here is, even if you go to meetup groups, you don't make friends with anybody, or you don't make friends with everyone. When it comes to this concept of the five most closest people to you, I would just first step is have a clear idea of the kinds of friends that you want. For example, it might be something like I just want friends that are well traveled, that have seen the world and traveled enough. That's one thing. The other can be just people who are more successful professionally speaking. And when you start with that, when you start to have that focus, that first focus, then that's great. This is the first thing that will orient you to choose the events. And when you're having these first conversations with people, this quote unquote small talk, you'll know if this is the right person, if this is the kind of person that you want to have as friends, as a friend.
So if you're at a meetup group and let's say there's, I don't know, 20 people there, and you talk to the first 5 people and you quickly find out that they're not your type of person, would you just quickly go and like talk to like 6 through 20? Or like if you talk to number 6 and that is the type of person you want to become friends with, are you going to go like boom, 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 try to talk to a bunch of different people, and then once you hit somebody, you'll talk longer? Or I guess I'm just curious how that works.
Okay, so the way it works is you have to be more strategic when it comes to making friends, or a certain kind of friend, or a certain kind of friends. Yeah, of course you'll be proactive and maybe write down as a goal, I want friends that are well traveled, for example, or more successful than me. For example, you're gonna write it, and it can be a clear objective. But when you go out, you have to put that out of your mind a little. You have to be a little more dynamic and enjoy your time, because you're not there. It's not a work thing. You're there to have fun. And when you're talking to the 5 first people, okay, just enjoy yourself. I mean, you don't need to be too proactive in one event or in 1 week when you go out. Actually, you just orient yourself to go to the meetings, to the meetup groups or the meetings or the events that will contribute to you meeting those friends. It's like an indirect thing. You know what I'm saying? So you have to think long term when you're talking about types of friends. So let's say you say to yourself, I want this kind of friends. Then you decide what you will start to do, something that becomes a habit. And you have to be okay with the fact that sometimes you'll go out and nobody will be the right person. But you have to be okay with that. That shouldn't be like a bad experience. It should be fun. It should be okay. If you put too much expectation, you don't have fun. It's supposed to be fun.
That's great. I'm really glad I asked you that question, because I love that perspective of it not having to be some formula or something, but actually something where you're going to enjoy yourself no matter what.
Exactly. So if you be proactive for the long term, but for the very short term, just enjoy yourself, because this is how it works. We're talking about relationships here. We're not talking about work or something that's like an ABC type of thing. You know what I'm saying? This is relationships are more dynamic. Of course, I can give you the steps of what to do, how to keep the conversation going, how to find things in common, how to mention that you have things in common, and then how to, for example, end the conversation, go talk to somebody else, and then come back, and then exchange contact information, and then contact them later and meet them later, and then develop the friendship. All that is fine. I can do that. But on the very short term, you have to be a little less proactive.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned what you just did, because those were actually some of my next questions. So how do you get somebody's contact information and then follow up with them?
Before I answer that, I'm just going to go back to your earlier question about what happens if I talk to 5 people and only the 6th one is the most interesting, I find. uh, what you do there, yeah, of course, you would talk to them more often. You more longer, excuse me. I meant to say longer. You talk to them longer, and then you start to have a feel of whether they want to talk to you longer, or maybe they just came and they want to talk to the others as well. So this is like you just trust your instinct and see. Look at their body language. For example, if they're looking around, they are dynamic in how they move and everything. Maybe they want to meet others, and you should let them. Of course, you should let them go and let them go meet others. But maybe they are interested in talking longer, and then you can do that. And it happened to me sometimes. I go to events and I'm not really interested or I'm not feeling it, but I know that there is one person that I want to have to get their contact information. So I may before I leave, I just tell them that it was nice meeting them and I would love to stay in touch, and then I get their contact information.
Have you
Okay.
ever had anybody not give it to you?
No,
Okay.
no, it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Never happens because I mean they have to be really, really, really rude to do it. Unless we're talking about dating situations. Of course, it happens when you're talking about dating. For example, if I'm approaching a woman and I'm talking to her, of course she gotta know that I'm interested in a romantic way. So of course she can tell me that she's taken, or I don't know, she's engaged or something. I would be okay with that. But when it comes to making friends, it's almost never happened.
Yeah, perfect.
All right.
Okay, so then how do you
Okay.
follow up?
Before we go to follow up, I'm sorry, I'm just taking step by step, but I was just answering the one case where only one person is interested and the others are not, or you're in a hurry, or you don't feel like staying in the event. But now, when it comes to generally how you get contact information of the people, as we said before, you keep the conversation going, which makes you find things in common and mention that you have these things in common, and mention your opinion about this stuff, anything. For example, somebody told you that they moved from the east side to the west side. You can give your opinion. You have to give some opinion about it. You give some basic information about yourself that has to be done. You should be a little succinct if possible, and just to have a little, just so they have a clear idea of who you are, what do you do, etc. I want to share with you how people can prepare that point where they exchange contact information. Is that cool with you?
Yeah.
Okay. So before you ask for contact information, you can prepare it. Like you don't go from random conversation to the point where you ask contact information, because I prefer that people have it come naturally. And in fact, in my training, advanced social skills training, I share how you can get others to ask for your contact information, because that's the ideal. So if we focus on how that could work, maybe it will make more sense. And how that works is that when you talk to people and you find things in common, you can start to find hook points. This is what I call hook points, which is more than just something in common. It's an opportunity to connect later. For example, they say I contribute to a homeless shelter, for example, and you say I do that too, or I do something similar, etc. I would love to get you to check it out, or as I would love to see the place where you go. Maybe I can go there someday. When you say something like this is like a hook point for the future. Like this is an opportunity to meet again.
Mm.
Okay, so you say something like that, or maybe they're interested in finding a job in a certain industry, and you know someone in that industry. You can tell them that you would love to send their resume to that person. You can say it early on, and which will mean that later it's going to be easy to exchange contact information.
Yeah.
But if you have no content, if you can't find a hook point, the easiest way to exchange contact information is just say that I would love to stay in touch. And what do you think? Do you have a Facebook or something? You see what I'm saying? I'm not actually. It's not a question. It's not a demand. Like let's stay in touch. It's hey, maybe we can stay in touch. What do you think? Do you have a Facebook or something? It's an indirect way, like just throwing something at them and see their reaction. This is what
Yeah.
I advise people to do. Go ahead.
No, I really like that. I think that's a really good point, and I think Facebook is a very low impact ask.
Yeah, and sometimes people have that fear of rejection, or they don't want to put the other person on the spot or something. This is why I advise them to just say, "Hey, what do you think? Maybe we can stay in touch, or maybe we'll run into each other later. What do you think?" I mean, just say something indirect.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm really glad that you're making sure to, before we move on to the next question, making sure that you get every point across with what I asked you before, because I think you're just making this super attainable for people. It's really interesting stuff.
Well, yeah, I love to. I'd love to be that case for everybody because my focus is getting someone that has that has the full week of stuff that they do. They are specialized. They are good at something that I'm not good at. They have no time to spare. I want that person to be able to benefit from what I teach. This is my focus. I want it to work for anybody. I don't want it to work for just the person that already has some confidence or already have pretty much all the social skills, but they lack just one. No, I want it to work for everyone, even the least motivated. Because let's face it, I mean, it's easy to be motivated about work or about making money or something that you can do early on, like in the morning or something. You already have some motivation, you have willpower. Maybe you've heard of the scientists that have proved that early in the morning you have a lot of willpower compared to later in the afternoon or in the evening.
Yeah,
Have
we
you heard of it?
actually we just covered that on the podcast with Steve Scott about breaking bad habits, and he talked about that willpower. There's a name for it, but your willpower muscle maybe, and just how it deteriorates throughout the day.
Yeah, exactly. So when it comes to socializing, actually do it later in the day, so you have less motivation. And people do it after work, so they're exhausted and they don't have a lot of energy. So what I teach, I just want to teach them stuff that they can do even if they are exhausted, even if they don't have motivation, even if they have used all their willpower. That's my focus.
Well, I love it.
Thanks.
So, yeah, thank you. So now you've got someone's contact information, you've got maybe their Facebook, whatever they gave you. How are you going to follow up with them?
So I can answer that question, but I can also share a technique that is more long term and it's a good habit to develop.
Sure.
Can I? Okay. So a good habit, a good part of what I teach is a very important part of what I teach is developing habits instead of just action steps. I'm sure you know how habits can really change your life more than just action steps that have an expiration date. Habits stay with you and they have more of a chance to change your life. You agree with that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So a good habit to develop is everybody listening here has a smartphone and they have a calendar, some kind of electronic calendar. So that you go, for example, to Tuesday and you create an event, and you make it a recurrent event, something that gets repeated every week. And but for the hour, make something like after work, like 7 p.m. or something, and like schedule half an hour to an hour, and spend that time catching up with people. and that reminder, that weekly reminder, will remind you every week to catch up with people and to follow up. So once you do that, once you press that button and say save, you will never ever have to remember to call somebody or remember to follow up with someone. Your phone will remind you every single week of the year. You will never have put any effort in remembering to improve your social life or remembering to update your social life. You will always be reminded. So I advise everyone here to, if they have time, driving or anything, to put it right now and to create that weekly reminder. Just do it and try it and see for in a couple or 3 weeks and see what kind of impact it has on your life. Because it's a weekly reminder and it comes after work when you have nothing to do usually. Maybe you just relax, watch TV or watch YouTube videos. Maybe take half an hour to take care of your social life. So it's easy. It's not something hard to do. You don't have to remember. So what you do when that weekly reminder pops up is, first you follow up with everyone that you got their contact information. If you have met some new friends lately, that's first. Second, you remember if you want to meet somebody that week, okay? If you want to go out, for example, this is why I recommend that people do it early in the week so they can plan for something for Friday, Thursday, or Saturday. So this is what you do. Second thing is if you want to meet somebody, you can send them messages, texts, or anything, and get in touch. The third thing that I recommend that you do is look online and look on Facebook, look on Meetup.com, and look for stuff to do that week. So you take just half an hour and plan what you're gonna do that week. And of course, it includes following up with people you just met.
Awesome. Yeah. So okay. So you meet somebody at a meetup, you want to follow up. Now, I know we don't have like specific formulas or something, but are there
Uh-huh.
general things that you want to say when you're following up with somebody for the first time?
Okay. Yeah, of course. I can give you rules of thumb. You don't have to follow up exactly the next day. There is no. All I advise is follow up. I mean, maybe in a week at most. If you can do it in 2, 3 days, that works. But don't go overboard like in 2 or 3 weeks. They might forget about you because they don't know you that well. So the maximum is 7 days, I think. This is the first rule of thumb. The second one is just say it was nice to meet you, and I'm really glad. Nice to meet you. Remind them of something that you have talked about, and that's it. And say that I hope we can meet someday later or soon or something like that. Or if you have talked about something to do, just say I hope we can meet so we can do X, Y, Z, that, as we said. But even if you haven't like talked about anything to do, just say that nice to meet you. It was nice to meet you. I would love to. I mean, it was nice talking about X, Y, Z. That's it. I hope we can meet someday. That's it. As simple as that. And see their reaction, because you need their reaction. They have to be active socially. If you're going to meet, make friends with somebody, you're going to have to wait for their response. They have to be active socially.
Mm. And if people don't respond, do you follow up with them a certain amount of times, or is it an instinct thing, or how does that work?
Yeah. Okay. So what I recommend here is just, for example, let's say you send them a message on Facebook. They don't respond. You can, for example, send them a text as well. You can send a text and say exactly the same thing over text, and try that. For example, try two modes of communications. If they don't respond, then you don't have anything to do. You can't do anything. I mean, you're not gonna ping them. This is especially the case because you're just getting to know them. If they don't respond the first time, I don't think you have an option.
Yeah. Okay, great.
But what I also advise people to do is this is also a test, because if they agree to talk to you now, they can't even answer a text or a message on Facebook. This is a good test for them too. This tells you that they are not very active socially. They don't have social acuteness. They're not skilled enough to be able to answer text, because this is the minimum. If you're gonna have a social life, at least you're gonna answer the text. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And so, how do you make plans that people want to join?
So first, what you can do is, before you exchange contact information, if you can, just talk about what they do for fun and what you do for fun, and where they go out and where you go out. For example, talk about the weekend and where you like to go out, etc. It will give you a feel of what they like. At the same time, you don't have to suggest something that they're interested in but you're not interested in. This is the first thing. The second thing is, I would just say, just pick something casual. Say that I'm doing XYZ, and would you like to come join me? For example, don't say that let's do something. Say that you're already doing something, or you're planning to go, for example, to a certain bar on a certain day after work, and would they love to join you? You know what I'm saying? So
Beautiful.
people like to join something that you're already doing. And I can take it a step further. And if you're already meeting somebody, it's good to bring the third person, because people love to join you and somebody else, which will mean that there will be less pressure on the conversation. They know that they will meet you and someone else.
Absolutely. That's a really good point.
I wanted to add something else, because
Sure.
some people will tell you that, well, let's say I'm just moving to a new city. I don't know anybody. How can I make plans with others and invite a third person? I really don't know anybody. I just moved, or I just changed the address or something. In that case, I would say, when you meet someone new, and you meet them for the first time, bring somebody else that you're meeting for the first time. So let's say you go into a meetup group and you meet the first person, you exchange contact information, you meet the second person. When you call them both and say, hey, I'm going to do something with this person from the meetup group, maybe Thursday or Friday. What do you think? Would you want to join us? And they'll both answer, and they will be both new friends that you have never went out with, and they will both join you. So you don't have to just invite one person that you don't know. You can invite two, and even if one of them doesn't show up, it's fine. Just say they had some problem, and that's it.
Wonderful. And are there things that you do to like strengthen relationships for down the line, strengthen friendships?
Yes, of course. One one thing that's really contributes to building a friendship is trust, and sharing personal information, sharing mini secrets, like sharing things that you wouldn't share with somebody that's you don't plan on seeing again. Of course, these don't have to be big secrets or something that's too personal, but you can start to share things that are a little personal, or something from your life, some difficulty that happened to you. And when you show that side of yourself, that vulnerable, vulnerable side of yourself, people start to relate to you more. And this is one thing that you can do, is share secrets and show a little vulnerability. Don't give the impression that you are cold and you're strong and everything, and everything you do, everything fine, you don't have weaknesses, because people can't relate to people who don't have weaknesses. They just can't do it. They can't trust people that are not open enough to share even small weaknesses, even if they're just silly things, or Yeah, I hope I'm not too. Do you get what I'm saying?
I absolutely do. And I'm curious if there's a way where you can tell like what's too personal or what's okay to share. Is it just kind of an instinct thing?
It is kind of an instinct. It is,
Yeah.
but at the same time, you can start with silly things. This is the safest way to start. For example, mistakes that you have made on something not that significant, like you ordered the wrong thing, and you were embarrassed to change your order or something, or not something too personal that you would only, for example, say to your romantic partner, your boyfriend or girlfriend. Something that you can share with people you just met.
Yeah.
And as you said, it's an instinct thing because there is a line that you can't cross. And that line is a little too, you don't need to go into creepy land because if you share deep secrets too soon, that's a little. It can make people a little uncomfortable.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, Paul, this has been just incredible. We've covered so many things, so much ground, and I think that people are going to walk away with so many really specific. I mean, you're so good at just like drilling down how to do things in a way that doesn't feel too formulaic. It feels nice and relaxed, and that's important. Like people can have fun while they're doing this. So again, I cannot thank you enough. I'm really pumped about all of this.
I,
And
I really I really hope that I was clear. I know sometimes I'm not that clear especially with my accent and everything, but I really hope that people can take specific things. For example, the weekly reminder. It's very, very important that people do that. If they just implement that today, really, and try it, just try that. And once they have the weekly reminder, they will never, ever forget about improving their social life. It's just impossible to forget because they have a weekly reminder there. So this is the first step I recommend.
beautiful. And where can people go to learn more about you?
Yeah, my website is getthefriendsyouwant.com. Getthefriendsyouwant.com. They can subscribe to the newsletter. I share an email every 3 days with different advice about things that they can do to improve their social life. We cover a lot of topics, and you receive an email every 3 days, and I hope they will read it. And if they have any feedback or any specific question, they can just reply to that email, and I will I will answer.
Wonderful. Well, thank you again. This has been great. Thank you so much for listening to A Better Life. You can find all show notes for this episode at rachelroffe.com. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe so you can automatically get access to all new shows. Let's also connect. Just go onto Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram /RachelRoffe and we can talk there. The opinions of all guests here are their own, and I'm not necessarily endorsing any of them. I do want to give you perspective though. And always remember, if you have a choice, choose a better life.